My name is Dr. Sarah Lewis, and I'm a criminologist by trade, but I'm also work within prisons and schools and the community to promote personal growth. So I kind of started my career as an academic, and from that was inspired by the Norwegian model and came back to be a prison reformer, which I feel really, really passionately about. In terms of the work that I kind of do, so we do a lot of work with organisations to support a positive culture. So it's all around trying to find the answers from the perspectives of those that are either in the prison, whether they are residents or staff, and ultimately finding out what their needs are, and from that designing something that's really bespoke and really meaningful for them, so that they can basically be the change that they seek, that they can promote growth themselves and take ownership of that, and slowly but surely I guess grow a culture that is really, really positive in terms of reducing kind of social harm and developing kind of personal growth. So that's the kind of work that I do. There's other stuff that we also do in schools. So we feel really passionately about not only supporting those in prison to grow, whether that's staff or prisoners, but also in the community. So we work in schools and look at how the principles of growth that I learned from the Norwegian model can be applied into schools to basically prevent that kind of pipeline between schools and prisons. So that's something that we feel really passionately about, and working with children that maybe are on the verge of exclusion, maybe feel that they don't have a sense of belonging or they don't fit within society, and how we can build a really positive identity. And we do that through lots of ways. We do that through staff training, we do that through individual work, but we also bring in those that have got lived experience. So during my time working in prisons, we have gathered a growth team, and that's ultimately a group of prisoners that feel really passionately about promoting growth in themselves and in other people. And as they come out of prison, we offer employment opportunities, but we also really strengthen their kind of skills and their talents. And with that, they come into schools with us and they talk about their lived experience. So they talk about what it feels like to be in prison, how it felt maybe when associated with a gang, when things were really difficult for them, and when ultimately they were at a time of crisis, and how they overcame that. So how they built resilience and how they worked through that in their own journey. And we find that that's really powerful. It kind of reaches people really well, and it provides another way in which we can relate to people that are maybe hard to reach and kind of marginalised within a school environment. The other thing that we do at Penal Reform Solutions is around the Growth Alliance. So last year I really recognised that there's a lot of practitioners out there, whether that's in probation or whether that's in charities or whether that's in prisons, that are really, really struggling in terms of maintaining their levels of hope and having that kind of passion for change that's really, really important. And so we established the Growth Alliance last year, which is basically a group of like-minded people that get together to try and inspire people to look at how they can work meaningfully with those that they work with, and how relationships are really, really key to that. So we put on events. We're hopefully going to be doing a kind of TEDx event in the summer, and it's just a way in which we can kind of really nurture this kind of growth movement, which really focuses on injecting the passion back into criminal justice, getting people to be really energised about the work that they do and really see the good that comes of it, but also really highlight success stories. So there's so much talent in prison, and there's so many people with lots and lots of different strengths. And for us, it's about changing that narrative around punishment, that prison isn't necessarily a place where you just get punished, but whilst you're there, you build a good sense of yourself, a good identity. So when you're released, you have the best chances to be a good citizen and to live a peaceful and kind of happy life. So our ambitions is just to push that in any way possible, because we all care very much about it, and we can see that the system is essentially broken. There's a lot going on there, but we feel that we have a part to play in that, and just by sharing good news stories, by celebrating success, and by changing that narrative, whether that's through media, whether that's on the ground in prisons, that's the stuff that we really want to kind of promote. We also very much strengthen the people that are on our team, so on the growth team itself. So I have a business manager who has developed a mindfulness-based yoga course, and again that's his response to some of the issues that maybe he's experienced whilst in prison, and it was about helping him, support him in the development of that and how he can develop that as a project to make a difference and to basically promote wellbeing in prisons and in the community. So that's pretty much what we do. I started working at Winchester prison, so back in 2004, and I was relatively young, and I had this kind of real belief in rehabilitation, and it was very much the case that I went into that environment and saw that there were lots of kind of problems and lots of issues, and maybe prison wasn't a place to rehabilitate. That's what I kind of learnt from that. So from that I then became an academic, and I trained probation officers, and then got this opportunity to go to Norway. And Norway was just the most inspiring place for me. And when I went to the Norwegian prisons, I realised that prison can be a place to rehabilitate, and it can be a meaningful place. And it doesn't have to be this place of harm that we kind of associate with prison, I guess, here in England. So I kind of quit my job, and I set up on my own as a limited company at that stage, and essentially became the director of Penal Reform Solutions. And it was all about making prisons better and making prisons more meaningful, and from there I got an opportunity to work in a prison and carry out a growth project there for 2.5 years, looking at how we can use those kind of principles of growth that we learned from the Norwegian system into the English system. And over that 2.5 year period, we found like transformative results, really, in terms of we saw a drop in violence, we saw a drop in self-harm, and a drop in spice use, which was a really kind of big issue at the prison that I was at. And ultimately it was all around just getting people together. It was about getting the prisoners involved, it was about getting the staff involved, irrespective of what their role was or their rank was. It was about like-minded people getting together and taking control of a culture, and just really pushing it forward and being really creative with it, and essentially kind of enjoying that process. And I think there was something about building the legitimacy of that. There's something about building the legitimacy of doing rehabilitative work in prisons. It's not a soft kind of punishment. It's not easy to do. It was actually really, really challenging to do. And it was about redefining what rehabilitation looks like, but ultimately how everyone can play a role in that. So from that, I just absolutely loved it. I love every minute I am in prison, even the real tough stuff. I wouldn't be anywhere else. And it's about empowering leaders, it's about empowering staff, and it's also about building capacity, building competencies, it's about building skills. That we've got a lot of new officers coming into our prison estates with very little experience maybe, or confidence, and it's giving them a space to talk, and it's giving them an opportunity where we can look at how can we make their job meaningful. What I found in Norway was that every member of staff I pretty much spoke to said they woke up in the morning and they couldn't wait to get to work, and work was a really meaningful thing for them. And that is my hope for staff here in our prisons, I think, and we can achieve that. But it takes a long time. It's not a short-term fix. It's not about just putting that plaster on it. It's about really understanding the roots of the problem and really building kind of capacity. So from that, I guess it's grown. It's grown in terms of the community work we do. It's grown in terms of the school work that we do. But it's all about reducing social harm. That's how it all connects up, I guess, and how we can promote personal growth in communities. That's what's important.
Super.
If you want to get in touch with Penal Reform Solutions, we have a website, which is www.penalreformsolutions.com, and through that there's a contact sheet, and that's a contact sheet for anyone. So whether that's families of those that are incarcerated, whether that's people with good ideas, whether that's people wanting collaboration, anyone can get in touch through that contact sheet. We're also on Twitter, again, Penal Reform Solutions, or Sarah Lewis30 is my kind of tag. So yeah, I'm on Twitter regularly in terms of just publicising the stuff that we do as a collective, and on LinkedIn as well. You can contact us, again, just search Penal Reform Solutions and we will be there. So there's lots of ways in which you can get in touch, so please do.